Hey, welcome everyone. I'm going live again today for the fourth straight day. This will be a new record for me, and I just want to say, well, here we are again. Here's another Monday, brand new week starting, and I got off a little mini hour-long webinar with a digital marketer about basically getting some buyers from scratch. And I thought I would just share a little bit about what was covered in that. It's a little 5-day challenge. And yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting. So I thought, well, it's top of mind. I'd like to share some of my thoughts about it. So if you're not familiar with Digital Marketer, it's digitalmarketer.com. And the head of that is Ryan Dice. And they have some excellent digital marketing training programs that are extremely affordable usually and really well done for the most part. And they just recently did a challenge back in September. I think it was a ads challenge, a Facebook ads challenge. And now they're doing this one, which is basically taking an offer, any type of product or service you may have, and being able to drive traffic to it, cold traffic to it, nonetheless, to get converted into sales for your business. So with that being said, his big takeaway or his big message is that there are no traffic problems. There are only message problems. And that's basically the truth, right? Because nowadays with the ability to advertise on Google or Facebook or any other place, but primarily on Google and Facebook, which makes up a little over 80% of the entire advertising market for the most part. There's plenty of ways to drive traffic nowadays. You just have to be able to be willing to pay for it. And you have to make sure that your average customer value or lifetime customer value is, high enough to make it profitable with what it costs nowadays to actually advertise. In fact, if you're in the B2B space, right, business to business, cost per click is approximately $2.52 right now. And I'm sure that's based on some data that from wordstream.com. And then the click-through rate, the average click-through rate is less than 1%, it's 0.78%. So you can figure that's what's going to cost you just to get the click. And then that doesn't really mean that they're always going to make a purchase, and that doesn't always mean they're going to attend a webinar or whatever the case might be. So that cost could actually be going up from there for sure. Anyway, the big thing here is that the message is everything, right? And you need to capture the attention of the cold traffic. And ideally, you have basically your market breaks down into 4 areas of, you have your ideal market, which is your most aware market of people who know exactly what your product is about or that they need your product or solution. And then you have the available market, they call it, which is basically solution aware, but they're probably not quite as ideal as the ideal market, obviously. And then you have the addressable market, which is more or less problem aware. And then finally, you have the scalable market, which is usually completely unaware of even the problem before the solution, right? So they may not even know what problem your solution solves. So therefore, you've got to educate them basically on the problem or as much as anything before you actually present them with the solution. But anyway, so when you're building out these cold traffic offers or sales funnels, you can do it a myriad of ways. And some of those ways typically are using a lead magnet, but with cold traffic, lead magnets alone don't usually get the job done that well. So you should perhaps consider using like a mini class, which might be like a 3-part video series. It could just be one video. It just really depends on what you want to do and how you want to teach it. And of course, that mini class should provide some decent amount of value. Now, it shouldn't necessarily provide the entire solution or, whatever it might be, but it could at least get them started in the right path and get them to understand what they might be getting into if they to pursue the next logical step in the sales process with you. And then, of course, your lead magnet basically could have whatever it is in it. It could be a video itself. It could be a downloadable PDF. I mean, it could just be a checklist. It could be a white paper. It really just depends what you want to put into it. But most of the time, a lead magnet on its own just won't work because most people don't ever actually look at it. They won't actually read it or actually, get anything out of it. They'll usually just put it away and never take a look at it a second time. And then usually you've lost that person. So the trick to using lead magnet is to combine it with some sort of mini class or webinar or something like that, where you're basically telling them that what they should use and why they should use it with the lead magnet itself. So in other words, you might have a lead magnet on your opt-in page, and then on the thank you page, you might have a video that tells them exactly what to do and what steps to take after that. And then, you should be good to go. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on what was covered in day 1 of the 5-day challenge, which is called the 5-day buyers from scratch challenge with digital marketer. So I hope that helps. That just gives you a little quick Cliff Notes version of, the last hour or so that I spent listening in. And of course, a lot of this was already mostly stuff I already knew, but it's just nice to get a refresher course sometimes and reminders of all the different options and reassurances that what you are doing in your business is correct and that you should keep pursuing those things even when sometimes it doesn't always work out, or what the offer that you're using isn't necessarily converting the way you want to convert and such. So it just depends. But anyway, that was what I wanted to cover first and foremost. And then secondly, again, this is, always my rants and raves about whatever the heck's going on in my life and whatever's going down. So I've got a plumbing issue here at the house. Of course, the last couple of days, my kitchen sink is kind of backed up and won't actually, you can run a little water and it backs up on both sides of the sink with the garbage disposal. When the dishwasher runs, it backs up. And when we first moved in here, we had this issue, and the plumber told us, well, it's just the design of the way the pipe is underneath that gets clogged up because it doesn't really slope downhill enough. So it kind of will eventually accumulate enough gunk in there and back up. So he was right. About a year and a half later, now 2 years or so later, after the first time we had it unclogged, it's clogged again. So it's something that's just going to be perpetual, I think. I don't think there's a permanent solution to it, but it really stinks because it's, the kitchen sink, and you got to have the kitchen sink, like they say, right? Everything but the kitchen sink. Well, in this case, it's nothing except for the kitchen sink needs to work. So there's that. And of course, we had someone come over today that is part of, he was a handyman. And of course he said he couldn't unclog it. So he's got to, because he didn't have the right snake tool or whatever. So he's got to have a different plumber come by and actually use their equipment to get it unclogged. So we got to wait for that. Hopefully that happens today or tomorrow, but we'll see. I talked about Experience-Fi yesterday with my new membership area for Growth Marketing Insiders. I added, I think, just about everything. I've still got a few courses or programs to add to it, but for the most part, everything's been added. And I think most of the members received somewhere between 30 odd emails to 35 for every single course that was added. They got their own specific login that they could access each course if they want to individually. So they probably got flooded with a bunch of emails from me. And if you are listening to this or heard this, I apologize for that. But I think it's important that you have access to every single thing in there. And therefore, the best way to do it was to let Experience-Fi handle all that. And they did. So I'm sure you got more than enough email from me yesterday. What else is going on? Bucks finally won yesterday. They beat, who did they beat last night? They beat the Kings. So that was good. I guess Giannis actually made some free throws. He was like 19 for 24 from the foul line. And, he's only been like 64% on the season, which is really bad. I mean, his career is only like 70 plus, little over 70 plus. I think his best season ever is like 74, 76, something like that. But he's been really bad lately, especially beginning of the season. And I think it started at the end of last season. But anyway, he seemed to be hitting them last night. At one point, he was like 15 for 17, and he ended up like 19 for 24. So that wasn't too bad. And of course, he had a big night. He had like, I don't know if he had 38 and 18 rebounds or something like that. I know Middleton also had 32. It was pretty good game for him as well. So they won that game. And I guess that was the Kings' 7th straight loss. So they're sliding the other way. That's not good. I like the Kings, always did, ever since back in early 2000s when they had the Kings team that really competed in the West with Weber and Doug Christie and Mike Bibby, and before that, Jason Williams. And yeah, that was a good team. That was fun to watch. Too bad they couldn't ever knock off the Lakers and get to the finals, but it is what it is. What else did I have to say today? Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying some of this. I just get on here and talk. If you got any questions, if you're tuning in, feel free to ask them. I love to try out the little comments tool and display your question, and then also would give me something extra to talk about. Not that I need a whole lot of extra things to talk about. I'm sure I bore you guys to death anyway, but hey, I'm just doing this because I think it's good. I think it's good for me. It's good for you. So we'll see how it turns out down the road. Yeah. And what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, going away this weekend for a basketball tournament in Phoenix for my son. So that'll be good. It's for Made Hoops. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully they'll do well. They're currently in 5th place. It's like a league that they're in. And there's I think the championship or the final tournament ending bracketed setup is in, I think it's March 14th. I think it's on my birthday. And I think it's back in Phoenix now. It was going to be in Sacramento or Stockton area, but they moved it back to Phoenix. That's where they've been playing, and that's where it's going to finish, I think. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they were just going to take the top 8 teams from each division, and now they've expanded it to the top 16 for that final. But we are 5th place, and we have a few losses we shouldn't have. So, there's that. We could even be higher ranked or so than we are, but it is what it is. And yeah, I just had this ticker right at the bottom again for my group coaching program. So if you're interested in joining that, I'm still open to having you join. So please go to kerrysgroupcoaching.com, and I'd love to have you on board. I think tomorrow we're going to have another call. Should be at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so if you're interested in getting involved in that, that's when I'll do that. It's usually every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we usually talk about some stuff regarding building out your business, right? And increasing your growth in your business. So, all right. I think that's it. If I have anything else to say, or if I have anything else to think about that I wanted to share with you guys, I will hop back on and do another live, even if it is a second live, and do 2 in one single day. It'll be interesting, right? All right. That's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you catch this in a replay, make sure you are around. Usually I'm doing this somewhere between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. most days. That's when I'm going to try to hit it. If I think I can schedule it out, and I'll think about doing that perhaps in the future. Maybe it'll be at a consistent time, then it'll be a little easier to know when it's going on, instead of just happening to show up in your feed or notify you via Facebook or YouTube or wherever it is. Oh, and on another note, I figured out why LinkedIn hadn't been working. I have to apply to be a live broadcaster on LinkedIn. I guess they need to approve it before you can actually just go do it. Unlike what you can do with Facebook and YouTube. So I'm waiting for approval on that. I applied, and it's just some short little application where you just put in whether or not you want to use your profile or your LinkedIn page, and you can apply and do it for more than just one location, I think. But I just did it for the profile initially, and I'm just waiting to hear back. As soon as I get approved, I'll be broadcasting these lives to LinkedIn as well, just for fun, and see what happens with that. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to hop on the bike and get some exercise and do a little TerraCore workout, get a little workout in, then get to work again and work on some more cool stuff that I'm doing. And yeah, finalize a few things, and we should be good to go. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll speak with you tomorrow, hopefully. Take care.